welcome back to Chops Podcast. I'm Steve Peterson.
And I am Jack Hinkle. Happens every time.
Jack's
Mic
microphone
down.
fell.
That was like a metaphor of my energy level.
Is it bad right now? Low?
It was, I'm good during the school day, but as soon as I'm like not in front of kids, I just go boom. I'm like the button turns off. I'm out.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it goes? The kids, we were talking about this before. You get so much energy from the kids.
Right.
And then you like go off and we got rehearsal tonight, so we're still at school. But you go away from the kids and it's just like, oh, I need more coffee. That's what's going on.
Well, it's kind of like you can't like allow the energy to get low because
yeah, that's true.
You have to survive.
Right, you got to keep
It's
moving.
like a cheetah and an antelope. It's like you got to keep running.
Are we we're the one that gets eaten, right? In school.
Well, I think
See?
I'm messing with my glasses.
We're trying. Hey, if you want to have a production value of quality, we got to be careful about the sound. Okay.
I just saw this thing the other day. This picture of a antelope being chased by a cheetah.
Okay.
Okay. And it had religious connotations to it, but you could work it into the education process.
Okay.
It was same picture, two different quotes. Give us this day our daily bread.
Okay.
And forgive us our trespasses. Right? But
that's good. I see. Yeah.
Right? So it's like, chasing for the food, good. But also the idea is, chasing, being violent against something bad. So the idea is, are we being hunted or are we the hunted or the huntees?
That was a marching band show that I
Hunted?
teched for. The Hunted.
You did a marching band show called The Hunted?
Not me. I teched a school that did that.
Oh, my gosh.
And it was like the idea was like there was a soloist and they hunted the soloist.
Was it like a Hunger Games thing?
Yeah, it was like 10 years ago, but like ish. But then that was the twist at the end of the show that the one soloist ended up hunting the rest of the band.
Yeah.
The hunted became the hunter.
That we call this episode The Hunter and the Hunted. No, that wouldn't go well.
No, we're calling this one. What are we calling it? Rock out.
Pebbles.
Pebble.
Pebbles and big rocks.
There you go. Okay, what do you got, Steve?
Okay, so what are the big rocks as a teacher, and what are the pebbles as a teacher? What are the things that should be put in first into a container, which are the big rocks? And if you get those in first, then you can add the little pebbles. Right? Am I saying this right?
Because if you start with the pebbles,
and then you add the medium and then the big rocks, it doesn't fit.
It doesn't always fit.
Because the little rocks have to fit in between the big rocks.
The little rocks always find a way through beneath the big rocks. They'll find a way in.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't
So I
work the
think
other way.
this goes back to what we were talking today in our young concert band. We just had state organizational contest.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about, we reviewed their performance with them. We reviewed their process, their improvement in the year of 2024. We talked about their process and the days leading up. Then we talked about their product on stage and their performance level. And then we talked about prize. And then we talked about that with the students. And we asked the students, what's the prize? And I think you and I were thinking like a gold rating from ISMA. Something subjective. And then the students were all over that. And they're like, well, that's like your good feeling memories. And it's like your inspiration.
Like,
and
you
the
guys tell us
leadership.
to leave it all on the stage, leave it all on the field. And I was like, oh, you guys are smart. This is
Right?
good. This is good. So if we were translating this, if I'm translating what you're saying correctly, the process
At the big rocks.
are the big rocks. The product is still a big rock, but the prize is like a pebble. We want the students, the product is like their performance on stage. We want the students to have a good product on stage. But if we're focused on the process, we believe the product will kind of work itself out as being a good reflection of the process.
Right. I think of really effective teachers that I know that are still teaching in our region, the Midwest, that are undeniably focused on the big rocks as far as a band director. And that's what they spend a lot of their time on is big rocks. Meaning they work on the big rocks of musicianship, of playing a brass or woodwind instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So they work on tone production, so taking air in, letting the air out, talking about resonance, talking about tone quality, talking about attack and the duration of the note and the release, talk about intonation and balance, sonority, right?
Yeah.
Articulation. Then you master these things in a controlled environment with a specific set of notes and where the choices are fewer and the students can be very successful, but you master those concepts in that controlled field, then you transfer it to the music. So you're not teaching those skills as you're teaching the music with new notes and new rhythms. You're doing these big rocks in an isolated, maybe a unison passage where everybody participates. Then you say, okay, this is how this applies over here. Look at this.
You've started doing that in your teaching more.
Have I? Oh yeah, like with wind ensemble
All
more?
the time.
Yeah.
Anytime you've inspired me, and I try and do it sometimes, but you're really good at this.
Okay, can I drink my water right now?
Okay, I see what's
I had this
I
girl
see
today
what's happening.
in the young concert band. Her Stanley. Her Stanley just totally
it was
exploded.
a Foley, not a Stanley.
It was. That was good.
Thank you.
It was not a Stanley though. She said she couldn't afford the Stanley, but it looked like coffee with cream and sugar, right? It was like that kind of color, and it was in her backpack, and the backpack tipped over and just went.
Oh, did it?
Boosh.
Did it like wreck her backpack too?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you saw. Okay, teachers out there, you probably still have your like gigantic stack of Lysol wipes from COVID, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. The ones that like your school just showed
I'm
up
looking
with
at one right in
boxes
front
all-
of me over here.
They're still over there, but. I was talking to the kids, just going through the performance, and Steve grabs the yellow package of Lysol wipes, and you were moving with a purpose. I was like, "Oh, did a kid just?"
Yep. I was
barf?
like, you go to the bathroom and get the brown paper towel
That
that's
do
like
nothing.
worthless. It's like cleaning with a paper plate, and then right, and then there's like you're just pushing it around.
You are.
And then I'm using like 30 wipes, and then I'm wiping it up, and it was disgusting. But
the wipes do smell good.
the
The
wipes
lemon
smell,
fresh.
and you can
that's
get
good.
rid of the sugary sticky. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So back to the podcast. We were talking about teaching the big rocks.
Oh, and then applying the way you teach wind ensemble.
Yes.
Is applying everything. The thing that Steve is really good at, and you probably were always good at this, I just see you do it more, is that you can take any kid's music and just like immediately lesson plan and turn it into a full band rehearsal moment.
Well, how do you know I didn't plan that beforehand?
You never plan beforehand.
That's not okay.
I'll beep that. I'll
No.
bleep that. It'll just sound like I'm saying really mean things to you. Oh my gosh.
Beep.
No, so he like
No, I understand what you're saying.
no, like today you were working on no, I lost it now. I lost it, dude. Let's back it up.
Whales.
Wait.
Whoop.
Oh, you were doing the
Chorus.
whales. I don't want to use that example though. I want to use a different one. Like from last week, there was a really good one. Oh, like baritone pitch, like they had to do a chord. Oh, it was the trombones. I got it now. I got it. It just took a minute.
Oh, the chord.
The trombones at the end of Symphonic Dance Number 3. Right. They have this moment where they are just ripping through the band, and it's like this super fun thing. But their pitch was just tragic. It was really bad.
Right.
And they would tell you that too, so I don't feel bad saying it
Right.
out loud. But you took a moment and you like broke it down each part, and you said, okay, third trombone, play your 3 notes.
Right.
Ba da da. Band
Right.
sing. Ba da da. Second trombone, play your 3 notes. Do do do. Band sing. Do do do. Okay, you pick band. Column A, column B. Pick which one you want to sing, and then they sang, and it was harmony. It was cool. And then you had a first trombone, and then we had the band singing in 3-part harmony.
Right.
And that was like really engaging for the whole band because every kid was just engaged, and they were going
We
for
sang
it.
the chords.
And there's something really satisfying about singing a
Major chords.
major chord with like other people.
There is. That was kind of fun.
That was fun. So that was like a really cool moment of engaging the entire band. So like you're talking big rocks.
Right.
I would say the teaching itself, not anything to do with music, but just like am I reaching every kid in this room
Right.
a majority of the time? Because you and I have been in rehearsals as both teachers and as members of a band
Yep.
where you're just kind of sitting there while they're working through with something. And sometimes you got to do that when it's just like a couple people for a minute.
Yes.
But you've found ways to engage the whole band, and I think that has paid off in a few ways. One, musically, that small group's getting better, that trombone section. Two, the band's getting better musically because they're singing.
Mhm.
Three, the esprit de corps of the group is growing.
Thank you. Okay. I'm glad to know that that helped. Now, the opposite of that would be if we did the Pebbles, not the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what it would look like. Is this true? Like you would tune each of those trombone notes with a tuner, and you would just try to like mathematically get that right, and like let the kids play like a video game looking at the tuner. Is that right? Would that be a good example of that? How do you do the?
I feel like that's a big rock, but just not your big rock,
Okay.
right? Because
Okay.
there are some teachers that probably teach that way, and
that
it's
could be
effective.
correct. That
Yeah,
would be correct.
and it works for them. But that's not Steve Peterson.
Right.
He's just got a different shaped rock
Different
or a different shaped jar. Maybe it doesn't fit the same as some other
Yeah.
people, right?
Right. So maybe that would be an example of rocks to pebbles. You're trying to work on the details without really understanding the structural content,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And and you could have achieved the same thing by pouring pebbles down. I see what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Right.
But you took it as part of a big
Right.
rock. That's good.
And then also I think when we watch teachers, it is like we had a guest teacher last week come in and from a university, and he came in and said, kind of made some blanket statements about
Mhm.
a melodic shape or a melodic articulation. And he said, okay, it goes for here and it goes for here and it goes for here. And like helping this, not just doing every measure by every measure, right? Or every measure phrase by itself. Like he encouraged them to understand it's the concept of this articulation applies each time you hear it. So in a 250 measure piece of music, you can use that over and over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of also goes to the spoon feeding method versus helping the kids eat on their own, right? Helping them achieve, helping them to connect the dots on previous experiences, right?
It's true. It's true. And you had moments of that today too, like with the whale watching. That was good. Did you know at what point when you said whale watching, at what point did you know where you were going with that? I'm really fascinated to know.
Well, there's a part in the music that goes be da 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 da, something like that. That ish kind of rhythm, and it keeps on ascending,
Mhm.
right? And it's kind of like laborious,
Mm-hmm.
and it's low, so low and slow,
It's slow.
but it's got to like rise and fall. So I'm not sure when it came to me. It was pretty much though when I started talking about that. I knew you had mentioned something to me about the direction of that phrase and about it does need to have shape, and I had put that in my notes, like 2 weeks ago. There's something we never got to.
Sure.
Or I never got to. But the idea of like a whale, like a humpback whale coming up above the water, and then you're like, wow, what was that? And then it comes up again, and oh, there it is again. And just that image
Mhm.
of that reoccurring theme, and like each time it brings more excitement and more excitement.
The other reason why I thought that was really good is that today at Concord High School may or may not be colloquially known as Senior
Skip day.
So as you could imagine, the attendance in the top band was a little sparse.
I think we had perfect attendance with the non-seniors.
I think we did actually. So, and again, it is what it is what it is. But when classes, I don't know if you felt this or noticed this today, but when you're missing a significant number of kids,
Yep.
it gives the kids who were there like well, no one's here, so we shouldn't have to do anything today.
Yes.
And like that vibe. And I may or may not have students actually say those words to me today.
I did.
So, okay, I did too.
I
can
did
admit
too.
it.
Did you play in every class?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they wanted to be able to go through the prom. See, they came into Jazz 1 today, and student A comes in after lunch like, no one's here today. Do we have to play? Great kid. And I said, hey, student A, stand next to me right here. Why? I said, watch this. And here comes student B, C, D. And I said, watch this. And they got closer, 3 of them. Should we get our instruments out today? And student A was like, you're right. Like,
Well, funny you say that because I was watching you edit the wind ensemble slide that said warm up, and then it said like this tune, and then you put in another line at the top, and you said yes, period. We will play, period. And I was like, oh, he must have had some questions from kids.
yeah.
I do. It is really tempting to throw the sarcastic comment back when they go, "Are we gonna do anything today?"
No, we're going to sit here and drool
Yeah.
on our knees like we normally do. We're going to sit crisscross applesauce and just waste away.
What do you want? That's a good one. What do you want to do?
What do you
today?
wanna
What do
do?
you want to do? You want to be on your phone all day? Okay, how
Well,
would that
I
be
did
any
ask them that.
different?
I said, what do you want to do? They said, we want to decompress. We want to wrap up prom. I said, okay, I got that. I'll go. I only had 8 kids in Jazz 1 today.
And you would have done that if you had 20.
Right. So we had,
You can talk
it
about
went
prom.
quicker.
That's
And I said,
fine.
okay, tell me about prom.
But that's a big rock. I mean, I think that's a big rock. And
What
the
is?
reason
Talking
talking to
about
your
prom?
kids.
Oh, yeah, talking
Talking
about
to your
yeah,
kids.
yeah,
And right. But I think too, going back to the whale watching thing, that your sometimes your analogies, I know you may find this fascinating. The kids have absolutely no idea where you're going to go. Because listeners, he
That's-
turned to me and he goes, well, he's at the podium and he cuts him off. He's like, okay, guys, who's ever been whale watching? And like a kid raised their hand and they're like, you've been? Yeah. And you're like, I've never been. And then you walk to the board to start drawing something. And then he's walking past me and he goes, you know where I'm going with this? And I go, no. And he goes, me either. Which is kind of how it goes. But the reason these work is because you can always work your way out of the pickle no matter where you get. Second,
I like puzzles.
you like puzzles and
I like getting in
you like
pickles.
throwing yourself in the middle of a tangled fish net and trying to untangle it out as you go. Live time. You're good under pressure. And the reason that's good is because the kids have like no idea what you're talking about, which does kind of make them do like a little, Oliver, you want to go for a ride? Head turn. And then you're kind of backing them and it's like a quick little refresher. So I thought
Okay,
that was like
okay.
a nice little change of pace.
Thank you. So that was a big rock. No. Yes. No? I'm the one that came up with the question. I don't even know if it's a big rock. I guess that wasn't a big rock. That was like a little pebble because I kind of spoon fed them because I didn't say play musically. Make sure your music goes somewhere and arrives and retreats from somewhere. I said play the whale shape. Think of a humpback whale coming surfacing. Play the shape.
I got a lot. Okay, I'm going to go somewhere else. But it's the same thing. Don't worry.
Okay, go.
I used to be really unmusical. And some days I think I still am. However, I needed to be spoon-fed everything when I was in high school. Like,
Yeah. No,
you said that a little too confirmingly, Steve.
No, Jack. Take it back. Take it back. Is that go ahead because this is about you. This is your moment, but I think I can be in agreement with you with my experience.
In high school, I felt like I needed everything to be dictated. Like, you're going to crescendo until count 4 and then you will decrescendo and you will play these 7 notes with accents. And I functioned well with that. And then I got to college and my trumpet teacher, I would like play something for him and he'd look at me and then he'd pick up his own horn and play it. And he goes, play it like I played it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then he'd do it again. I was really bad at it until like, I think halfway through my sophomore year, I had some like eureka moment and I was like, oh.
You did have a moment.
I had a moment. It wasn't like a gradual thing, which is kind of weird. I think there was like at some point I just got a lot better quickly because I listened and I could listen to my teacher play and I didn't have to have everything spelled out for me. I could just hear it and then
you're talking
emulate
about
it.
general like musicianship, like phrasing
and,
Right.
and breathing and like accenting and all that stuff. And I just kind of had like a better understanding of how to do it. And my trumpet teacher never spoon fed me for like ever. And I think I at one point asked him to because I got so frustrated. I was like,
You're
will
like,
you just
"What do
tell
you
me?
want?"
Will you just
Yeah.
tell me what to do?
Yeah.
And he didn't. And I think I got pretty ticked off. But like I got a lot better because of him. And he was like a really, really
Yeah.
good teacher with few words.
That's great. That's good.
What was the thing you were gonna say?
Well, I just remembered that I was I practiced a lot on my saxophone, and I thought coming from high school, I thought I was probably a good musician.
Sure.
But in reality, I was big fish, little pond.
Sure.
Right. Which I think most kids that go on to music school are.
Yes.
Right. So, but it was the idea that I worked and worked and worked, especially like for 2 years on technique. Just boom, boom, like air, tongue, fingers, just like getting everything going and playing with the metronome and playing with the big tone and just, but it was all about that. And then I remember the first time I went to a master class, it was like the saxophone professor from the Paris Conservatory on alto saxophone. And he like totally blew me up.
Oh,
like,
I remember you telling me about this once.
In front of like 50 saxophone players from Chicagoland. And he basically said in a French accent, but he, which sounded a lot more condescending.
I was going to say that would not be good.
What you are doing is like you cannot swing from a rope. You swing like a dead cat from a rope, huh? No, he's like, he goes.
Swing like a dead cat from a rope?
That's from Brian Golden. Brian Golden's jazz band director, Larry McWilliams at Ball State, used to say, "Man, you swinging like a dead cat from a rope, man."
Can you do it in the French accent again?
Yeah, what you doing, man? You sound like you were swinging like a dead cat from a rope. Like, no, he didn't say that. But translation was, I was all excited by myself. I was excited for myself because I got all the notes and rhythms right, and I was playing like this really difficult piece with this really incredible piano player, and he basically roasted me. It was Valentine's Day. I remember this quite well. I was in distress. He told me. He told me. He goes, "Good for you," basically.
No.
Basically, he was like, "Good for you. Played all the notes."
I bet you feel really good about how
he's
you
like,
played that.
Now, can you play some music? Like, can you actually play a phrase? Can you turn a phrase? And it was like really humbling. I mean, I got destroyed.
Wow. Yeah. That stinks. Was your like date that night like in the saxophone room?
No, I do remember. I got flowers that night though. Somebody gave me flowers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But that. Yeah, that wasn't a good experience. But so that was going through, kind of going back to you, like not feeling like you were totally experienced playing musically.
Right.
Like you were experienced playing technically.
Right. And I think that is one of the hardest things to teach.
Playing musically?
Yes.
Yep.
Because you, like, okay, in the tradition of music, it's so much like speech. You learn based off of modeling and based off of listening. Like, you don't learn to talk as a baby from reading a book. You learn because your parents talk to you, because you're trying to model what they're doing.
Yes.
And that's the same thing that what we do. I mean, especially in jazz band, but even in our concert band settings, it's like you can tell the kids, get louder here, get softer here, but you're spoon feeding them everything. And so teaching through metaphor, that seems like a big rock in a sense. It's at least like a jumping off point that's not spoon feeding. Right. So
it does feel like, it would be good to have an English teacher on here. English teachers that teach grammar, right? That we have to teach grammar, especially a lot in 7th and 8th and 9th grade, right? And then you learn how to make phrases, and you learn to punctuate and to make clauses, and we learn how to make prepositional phrases, and then how to develop
sentence structure.
Right. Don't always begin it with the object,
because then you read it out loud. Because when the kids write, they just type it and they're like, "Well, I use complete sentence here, and here." The cat crossed the road. The cat ate a fish. Right. The cat got run over. Like, stop saying the cat.
The cat got run over. The cat was swinging from a rope. Vivi. The cat was singing from a rope, swinging. Yeah,
but
exactly.
You need to say it out loud for you to realize, oh, this sounds really like mediocre.
Right.
And the same thing is kind of true with your
playing. So then you get to a point where students, English teachers, they have their little magic fairy dust, and they help students create an opinion and like sculpt it and have shape. And then some other teachers in our school, like Mr. Stutzman, who is a wonderful speech coach and speech, right? And teaches those and coaches those students up, and to make your point, and to make it passionately and articulately and to the point. And so then that's a skill that they have that they can apply to other things.
Yes, because while we're talking about musicality, we're really teaching kids how to learn, how we want them to learn.
And how to think.
And how to think.
How to
make decisions.
How to make decisions. Yeah.
That's a big rock.
I
That's
think
like
that-
the big
I think
rock.
that's one. That's when the music is fun.
Yes.
Like in an ensemble, is that you do have to write things in your music, and you're right.
Sure.
You have to write reminders and like, oh yeah, that's piano. It's not forte and whatever accidentals and writing all those things.
Yeah.
But the most meaningful is kind of like when it starts to happen organically. And it's not
Yes.
by luck, but it's because you've been learning.
Right.
Like you do this kind of shaping in this kind of phrase.
You know, like in like 5th grade when you're given like a large body of text and your teacher tells you to highlight it for the first time, and like you,
I need a new highlighter.
right, you come back and
Right.
like the whole thing's highlighted. That's like the same idea when you're writing in your music on like every little thing. Like you're not being musical. You're just
Well, then you're like, what do you look at?
right. Well, how are you going to be musical if everything's dictated for you? Make a
It's
decision.
like
on
as
the
you're
fly.
shouting all the time.
Yes.
How do I know you're being intentional? Right? How do I know you're being passionate?
The emails on the subject line that say urgent, please read now. So stupid.
Delete.
Yeah, Mark is red. Check. Okay, so those are big rocks. What are pebbles? What are pebbles in your teaching life? Taking attendance. No, that's a joke. Or is it?
Pebbles.
Or is the point to not think about the pebbles and look at the big rocks? But the pebbles are important too because you got to fit them in the jar, right? Right?
Gosh, that's good now. I don't even know. See, I like that metaphor.
Okay, you're in
like
a puzzle, Steve. You're in the puzzle.
I
Get yourself
know.
out, buddy. Come on.
I know. I
Cha-cha-cha.
like what is a pebble? What's a pebble in band?
Teaching kids how to do step-offs. What's the Eisenhower matrix? You taught me that forever ago. It's like
What?
don't what me, bro.
Why?
I was gonna tell you. I was like literally and you're like,
Eisenhower
what?
have to do?
I swear it's Eisenhower. It's the urgent, important, urgent, not important. And it
Oh.
was like do now, do later, delegate, delete.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the Eisenhower matrix?
First
Someone
time I've
fact
ever
check me and
heard
comment me. Fact check it.
Eisenhower. That's the first time we said Eisenhower in this podcast.
And it's not the last. Eisenhower.
Say his name.
Say his name.
Eisenhower.
Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Wow. What they call him? Spike? Luke?
I don't
Luke?
know.
Ike.
I got a
They
one.
call him Ike.
I got a 1 on my.
They call him Ike.
I shouldn't out myself. I've already outed myself.
Okay, that was your one.
Oh yeah, Ike.
Ike.
Ike. Vote. Yeah, 5
4
p.m.
o'clock. 5. Oh,
Uh,
5.
Pebble. Step offs because you got to do it for marching band. You have to teach those. You have to do that if you want a clean marching band. Does that matter in the kid's life in 30 years if they could do a step off?
Well, does playing a phrase matter? And that's a big rock.
Yes, because you got to make decisions. You have to feel and you have to listen to people around you. That's like a life skill. Stepping off with your left foot when you enter a new area is not a life skill. It doesn't matter, but it's really
But it's
important
what
for
the
that
group
time.
is doing. You're expected to do it. I don't know. I kind of got into a pickle with this, like, because I think what that metaphor works well with is time.
Yeah.
What? Right?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Right. So
I think there's a sweet spot in the amount of time you spend planning too. I think that's good too.
sweet spot. What do you mean?
Sweet spot. Like it's sometimes like if you're prepping a lesson or you're just planning out like a long-term curriculum thing, if you spend too little time planning, you can get yourself into a pickle. If you spend too long planning and you overplan, I think you can equally get yourself into an equal size of pickle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and you've kind of helped
Yeah.
me out with that with planning, and I plan a lot and I'm planning less and less as I go.
But you don't plan less because you have your map. You
That's
have
the thing
your
I'm
big
talking
maps.
about. I make the map and then I like say forget it, and I'll only come back to it if I'm in pain, if I need to change something. But
Really, you're doing that less? Because I was thinking I need to do that more. We might just be switching places.
I have not. I do the map for ISMA. I've kind of had the long-term map for Jazz Cafe, but I'm like I feel okay. Like I don't feel panicked, so I don't feel like I need to look at the map.
You know,
So you're mapping more?
I think I kind of do that more on the fly. Like I kind of have an idea
Yeah.
of like where things are.
So maybe
spinning.
I'm doing that too.
Maybe you're just internalizing it better rather than. You don't have
Hey,
to
there we go.
You don't have to externalize it,
Yeah.
right?
It is kind of a pacifier to externalize it.
Right. Yep.
We got to wrap this show up.
We got, well, you gotta
Steve's really important. He's like busy and got phone calls he's got to take.
You never know. See, there's me making sounds again. I'm like a little
And
fidgety.
think if your keys were on the desk.
Fidgety Steve. If I were a comic book, I'd be Fidgety Steve. Once upon a time, Fidgety Steve wanted to be a band director. Yeah, this had to be a short podcast because we had another collaboration after school, which was fun.
With a student.
With a student, we did
doing
like
their own podcast.
They were working on a podcast for
an internship.
a marketing program. So that was kind of fun. So we were on the other side of the microphone, kind of working out stuff, and then we kind of got boxed in. But we said, let's do it. Okay, what do you got for dinner?
Stir fry.
Woo!
You
Chicken?
have your chicken.
I already ate it.
You already ate it? Dude, it's 4 p.m.
I know, but I might go get a sandwich and go drive in the country. Listen to Kentucky
You
sports
know,
radio.
I was gonna go on a run to my parents' house. I think I might skip it. I don't feel like I have enough time,
dude.
and I just want to. Maybe I'll drive around. Maybe I'll go. Dude, should I do 3 coffees today? Is that a bad idea? But we gotta.
You can do coffee at 5 p.m.
Well, I don't know, dude. We got like 3 hours of rehearsal coming. Maybe I do decaf and like trick myself. Just like the taste and the smell makes me think it's energy.
Yeah.
Starbucks still sell decaf this late? They have
do.
to, right?
They do.
Okay. You're like, yeah, they do.
They do.
Say his name.
Okay, come and follow us on Chops _podcast
Dude,
on
we
TikTok.
doubled our Instagram followers.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude.
From when?
From like before the We're Band
Pandemic?
Directors reel.
Really? The
We've
followers?
doubled on Instagram. We've doubled.
Hey.
That thing, I posted that reel. I know. Okay, if you have like viral stuff out there, I'm sorry, but I'm really excited about it, and I don't know how this stuff goes, but I've been getting constant stream of likes anytime I open Instagram.
Okay.
It's just constant, and we posted this reel 2 Saturdays ago.
Yeah. I read the comments.
Those were good.
Some people got upset about it. You're like, this was funny like 2 months ago.
They're like, stop doing it.
It's so
I don't know.
annoying. I was like, well, stop watching it.
Stop watching it. This 150,000 views say otherwise. I'm sorry. There were some good comments.
No, that was fun.
Someone got upset that I said F concert
yes
instead of concert F.
I was like, go back to your little cave. Like, what? I didn't think that. I didn't think that was anything. F concert or concert F. I think it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
I don't even know if it's regional. I don't even think about it.
I have a bachelor's degree in music education. I can say F concert if I
That's
want.
right. Okay.
Take that.
So Chops _podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us on Spotify and Podcast Apple for Chops Podcast. And then follow us on YouTube for Chops Podcast.
Because it's fun to watch podcasts as well as listen to them.
It
Because
is.
Steve and I do some pretty good, funny stuff you could see.
And we're
that you
playing
can
with
hear.
keys and stuff like that.
Yep, it's a good time.
Okay.
Okay, he's got to go be busy and do his thing.
Okay, for Steve Peterson,
And Jack Hinkle.
we're out of here.
See ya.